Hi, and welcome to Feng Shui Storytime. I'm Karen Rao Carter. I like to tell stories from my clients so that you can take what we found in their home, apply it to yours, and see if you can bring about some changes in your life for the better. This particular story was a client who had a pacemaker. So if you have a pacemaker, listen up. She also had a lot of sleep issues. That's pretty common, so listen up for that as well. That's you. So this particular client, she said that her pacemaker, although her doctor thought it was working, for some reason wasn't recording things. And he said he might have to replace it for some reason. And he asked her if she was exposed to magnets. And she was like, do you think I'm exposed to magnets? And I said, well, I know that there's magnetic fields, electromagnetic fields. Let's test for those, which I can test for. She did have a internet router sitting on the dresser right at the foot of her bed on the other side of the room. And I was like, well, I think we got to get rid of that because I know that the RF and the radio frequencies coming out of that disrupt sleep. So that could be a problem with the proximity. You try to get those things as far away from you as possible. The more distance, it's exponentially better. So every little bit counts on that. And then also we tested for electromagnetic fields as well, just because it's plugged in and it's turned on. And so we test for that as well. But the radio frequencies was, something that I was like, I don't know what we've got going on here with that pacemaker. So this was my first pacemaker client. And so we called the internet provider, and they said, it's going to cost this much for us to come out. If we have to drill a hole to move it, it's going to cost X, 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 X. And it was just racking up quickly. And so she said, well, I have a pacemaker. And my doctor said, and they were like, wait, what? You have a pacemaker? We'll be right out. So believe it or not, this company, they have a list of medical codes that they quickly rerouted her on the phone to. And they were like, you got a pacemaker? Yes, you're on the list of things that they know their RF is not good for. And so they came out immediately, moved all the wiring, drilled the holes, did whatever, checked everything with their meters, and they were making sure she was as safe as possible and for free. And they were like, is there anything else we can do for you? And she was like, I don't know, a few months of free internet. And they're like, absolutely. I mean, it was crazy how quick things turned. So if you have a pacemaker, please get yourself safe from all the Wi-Fi, router, turn off your cell phone, turn off the internet, get the echoes and all the boosters and things turned off at night or away from you as much during the day or night as possible. Highly recommend that. And so I said, well, let's only do that to make sure that we have the X factor so I can tell my future clients, if this really works. I'm like, we did one thing and that's what did it. So we'll know for sure it wasn't a combination of things. So we just did that. Next time she went back to the doctor said, oh, yep, your readings are starting up again, So I thought that thing was working. And he's like, what did you do? She goes, I moved my router, and she said, I would highly recommend telling your future, your other pacemaker people to get that thing away from them, because that's what I did. That made the difference. And so he said, well, there's one day that you have a little problem in this reading. And so she went back to her calendar, and it was the day that she went to her friend's house and was watching a movie. And she said, I remember laying on the couch, looking at the TV, and I saw her router right there in front of me in that same kind of position that it was in her house when it was at the foot of her bed. So please get your wireless devices away from you during the most amount of time. They don't work from magic. They work from a radio frequency microwave. We got electromagnetic fields and radio frequencies, the high frequency radio waves that we are concerned about, especially if you have something like a pacemaker. We are electrical beings, people, so we have to really be mindful of these currents that are going through our air and space. It's not magic, it's waves. So be mindful of that in your environment, and please, at least at night, do your best to avoid those things in your house. So that's my little feng shui tip. You know, if you have a pacemaker or you're really losing a night's sleep and you have that router, think about, you know, like what's on the other side of your headboard wall. You know, it might be this far away, but you're just thinking, oh, it's in another room, but it's that far away from your head. You know, just the thickness of a wall. So consider above, below, what's all around you. Be mindful of that and do your best to avoid things like radio wave, microwave, wireless technologies around you. That's your little feng shui tip and story for the day. Hope it's been helpful. Feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel to get more stories and tips. And if you would like access to a free webinar, feel free to go to moveitwithkaren.com. Sign your little email up in there. You'll get this free access of a webinar about placing your furniture for success. And you'll also get future tips and calendars of where I will be and how I can help you in other ways in the future. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed the story and look forward to having you around for more. Take care.